In the next 2 decades, our population is expected to reach 8 billion, with an extra 2 billion becoming middle-class consumers. With economies in crisis and the effects of climate change already evident, some alternative financial models are starting to gain traction. So we come to meet Andrew Sims from the New Economics Foundation. He's going to talk to us about why he thinks economic growth can continue. So Andrew, tell us what's wrong with the old economics. Why can't we keep on growing?
Well, in a nutshell, old-fashioned economists will tell you the way to solve the world's problems and tackle poverty is not to divide the cake more evenly, but it's to bake a bigger cake. But we simply don't have the choice to bake a bigger planet. We've got to deal with what we've got in front of us.
What's the alternative to our business-as-usual continued economic growth model?
There's plenty of evidence from history that shows that when push comes to shove and the need is there, societies can radically change how they live and how they consume, and not necessarily be worse off for it, because there's an awful lot of research that shows that in spite of all the, the stuff that we like to build up in our homes, all the spare consumer durables, the electronic gadgets, etc., that these don't actually really make us any happier.
So why can't we just separate environmental impact and economic growth?
Well, some of the best climate scientists in the field have looked at whether the countries which are already rich can continue to grow without causing catastrophic climate change, and come to the conclusion that no, they can't.
Can we just keep on growing and reduce our environmental impact by improving efficiency
even
and
allowing
in renewable energies?
For the best leaps forward in energy efficiency and introducing clean renewable technologies, growth would have to reduce. But by moving to a more fair and equal distribution, people wouldn't have to be hit hard by that.
One of the massive caveats to your argument is different playing fields we're talking about in terms of developing and developed countries.
Where some of the poorest nations in the world are concerned, as they struggle to meet their basic human needs, their economies are going to grow. And that's not a bad thing. They also have an opportunity to leapfrog the kind of phase of dirty development that we went through. But that makes it even more important that where the already rich countries are concerned, we shrink our impact on the environment so that poorer countries have got the space, the environmental space, to be able to develop.
So can you actually imagine a politician standing there on a podium and arguing for a low or even no growth economy? Do you not think that that would be political suicide?
We've got a whole parade of politicians now, going back to Bobby Kennedy, who said the irony about economic growth is that it measures everything apart from that which is truly worthwhile, right up to the French president, our own prime minister before he became elected, questioning this, the head of our financial services authority, Nobel Prize-winning economists, all lining up to say that we've kind of got this wrong for quite a long time and need to rethink it. So it's happening.
But for many, the idea of a complete halt to economic growth is just not feasible. Professor Carlota Perez argues that we can solve both our environmental and our economic crises.
The only way out of this financial crisis is to save the planet. So in fact, what I think is that green growth is the solution to the current recession.
It could sound like a contradiction in terms. You're talking about green growth.
Yes.
Is that not an oxymoron?
Not really. The reason why we believe that growth is all about materials, energy, and all that is because the mass production revolution created a way of living, a lifestyle, that was based in that. So what we now need is to take advantage of the potential of information technology to change direction. And the best change of direction is precisely green, because it means changing products in such a way that they're durable, so that you have a whole range, instead of having one person consuming the same product 5 times, you would have one product being used by 50 people along 25 or 30 years. You can have employment, for instance, in maintenance and refurbishing and so on, and you have the spare parts, and that creates a lot of jobs.
There's that other school of thought that think at the end of the day, this is a finite planet. No matter how green the growth is just not sustainable. And they're talking about low growth or even no growth. What do you think about that idea?
I think that is the most unrealistic proposal anybody in the whole history of mankind has ever proposed. You cannot tell people, too bad, you know, we had it good, you're not having it good. And how about the developing countries? Zero growth, are you mad?
So technology, you think, is going to save us?
As long as you have the right policies. Because policies have to direct technology by changing the market, tilting the playing field. So that if you invest in innovating in the direction of green, you are more profitable. Immediately people would naturally innovate in the direction of green instead of innovating in the old mass production obsolete direction. It would become bad taste. It would become vulgar. And if the rich begin, like they are now, having electric cars and having solar panels, and that's luxurious, everybody will want to have that. So it's not about guilt, it's not about fear, it's not about controlling, it's about making it better.